Let me just start off by saying I apologize for this review taking so long to make because I lost all the pieces and I was having trouble coming up with stuff to say, but now I'm finally doing it. So, how's it hanging, my beautiful smart gamers? My name is Sims317, and we're going to be taking a look at the Shodo Ultraman Taro figure. Now, this is an interesting figure because Taro holds a lot of sentimental value to me because he was actually the very first Ultraman merchandise of anything I ever got. I remember getting him from a website called monstervalleytoys.org, or was it .com? I can't remember, but it was a great site. Had a fantastic layout. All the prices were pretty good for what you got. And sadly, I can't link the site because I think the website's been shut down, but high five if you know Monster Valley Toys. Anyway, the figure that I originally got of Taro is a... Oh god, I wasn't even in elementary school when I first got my very first Ultraman figure. It was one of those Gashapon figures that were like pre-posed. But it was so cool, and I loved that thing so much. And the character that I got was Ultraman Taro. So when I found out that I could get essentially a superposable version of this character in the same scale, I was excited. And sadly, I can't show you the original Gashapon because, well, I lost it, and I remember that I broke his hand off, but point is, I love it, and I love all Gashapons. Highly recommend you get into them if you ever get interested. Now, taking a look at Taro, one problem with mine is that due to the heavy play that I put this poor guy through, his joints are incredibly loose. Like, his leg joints can't even hold him up. I was lucky enough to get him into that shot at the beginning for the review. Taking a look at the head sculpt, if we can focus in on it. Come on. It's sadly the best I think we're going to get, but the head sculpt looks great. Just like the show. He's got the iconic tri-horn thing where he's got two horns here and one horn here. He's got his little light thing. I never watched Ultraman Taro. The only Ultraman shows that I ever watched were Ultraman, the original, and Ultraman Tiga, both of which are highly recommended from me. They're really good. But moving on, the paint job on Taro is beautiful. It's simple but good because I never knew what to call this. I guess it's like a vest, kind of, but it's painted all the way around. He's got a little peg hole here for a stand. And what's really cool is this is kind of a staple for the Ultraman suits. They even sculpted the zipper for the suit. And I think nowadays they could easily make the suits without the zipper, but they became such an iconic thing for Ultraman. At least that's how I always remember them. I always remember them having that zipper. And I never knew it was a zipper. I thought it was like an extension of the fin on their top. The paint is very nicely applied. And I know what you're thinking. Well, it should. It's very minimal. But to me, I'd argue otherwise. Because silver, in my opinion, is one of the worst colors to paint for plastic. So the fact that Bandai did this on what is essentially a toy that you find in like a gas station, I guess. I'm only going by what Silver League says. I believe the guy who does the Shodo, who does the SL builds is Silver Autumn. I'll link one of his videos in the description. Going by one of the comments on the videos, these things are essentially sold in gas stations for like $5, and you get free candy with them. In fact, they need the candy so that way they can actually put them in the candy aisle. Now, the reason I've been talking a lot about the figure and why he means so much to me, about his characteristics and all that, is because there's not really much else to talk about. I mean, he's got the Taro brace here. I think that's what it's called. Again, I never watched Taro, but I've always wanted to. The only one that I ever saw any full episodes of was the English dub by 4Kids, and we do not speak about that. The Tiga dub was alright, but oh Lord, the Taro dub. Anyway, what's really impressive to me is I thought this thing was molded out of silver plastic. It's actually red plastic, but it's painted in such a good layer of silver. Hold on. It's painted in such a good layer of silver that I thought it was sculpted in like gray plastic or something, and then they just kind of dry brushed the silver on to make it have that metal look to it. And it works great. It really does. And he's even got like the color timer. It's perfectly painted. And sadly, I don't have any Ultraman figures to do a size comparison with yet. And the reason why I mentioned size comparisons is for later, but let's go on to articulation, then we'll talk about accessories. For articulation, Ultraman Taro has a ball joint at the head, a very nice ball joint that's very expressive. It doesn't look too bad. I mean, from the side, yeah, he looks pretty weird, but it also doesn't help that the joints are really loose on mine due to heavy play. Arms go up, down, forward, back, bend at the elbow, bicep swivel, wrist swivel, and there's a problem with the way they design some of the accessories that we'll talk about later. Very loose ball joint at the abs, and holy crap, I just realized they even painted like this thing all the way up there. And I know I think it's supposed to be like this or like this to where there's some red showing. I don't know. The only real Ultraman stuff that I ever got really into was Taiketsu Ultra Hero. Love that game. Anyway, ball joint at the legs that goes forward that much, back none, sideways decent amount, a bend at the knee, and a ball joint at the ankle. Really good posability. Just a shame that, yeah. We'll set Taro back here so we can talk about his swappable hands. Which surprised me because, again, candy toy. Now, I love the selection of hands here because they are all iconic for various reasons. Because, let's remove them all. Or, we'll remove all but one. So, the first hand we get is for the Specium Ray, which, usually in Ultraman, they do it with both hands looking like they're about to do a karate chop, but Taro always did his along the lines of this. And I can't remember which way he did it, but he always did it in this type of pose. I just can't remember which hand went over which. Give me a minute to like level it out. Yeah, that's the best we're gonna get, but you got the point. It looks cool. For another hand, that is technically more iconic, is I love this because when you position the hands right and look at him from top, it looks like he's doing the transformation. Like he's doing the transformation in the show when his human henshins. I could just say transform, but I'm a weeb. But you can actually replicate his signature pose for when he first is summoned, since the reason there is a blue light here is because in the show, at least going by what other reviewers have said, I can't remember this one reviewer, but he said that due to Earth's pollution, Ultraman can't survive, so he has only 3 minutes, and that includes like all the power and stuff from using his special moves. Now, my favorite set of hands are these calm, relaxed hands, because I love these types of hands. I don't care if they are not in character. I want more of these. Now, the reason I haven't been swapping out this hand too much is because this little silver piece here is a separate piece. And I do not like that at all. I don't think it's a good idea. But what you do is you line it up to where it goes into the slot. I don't know if you can see it, but it goes into a slot. And then you just plug it in like a regular hand. And now you can swap it. Oh, one thing to mention before we move on to the size comparisons is... Oh, wait, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it because I don't want to break him. The elbow on mine was popped, and there's a huge white mark on the peg, which means it's taken a lot of stress. And despite how this video is looking, I've actually been very careful with storing this guy and playing with him. But anyway, the last accessory technically is this little stand to hold all the hands in. So you just plug that in. There you go. Now for size comparisons, let's back this up. Here we have... Okay, I didn't think that would... Masterpiece Wheeljack. SH Figure Arts Hairkiss. These are pretty small figures, by the way, so yeah. And another character from the same line, not this specific wave, is Kamen Rider Kiva, who I'll be reviewing next. So, yeah. Overall, I think this is a fantastic figure. I have genuinely little to no problems. The only problem is that white mark on his elbow. If it weren't for that, I have no issues. Painting is great. Sculpting is out of this world. Articulation is better than half the stuff we get for $20 in America. And nothing feels rigid. Everything feels nice and durable. So, yeah. That'll be it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.